everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the final week of October in today's video. There is just some signs that we might start to see retrogression taking place in the last week of October. I'll explain what retrogression is in a moment, but before I go on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my weather videos at GazWeatherVids.com. Please play those video ads. You'll be supporting GazWeatherVids.com by doing that. So what we're going to look at is the charts for the end of the third week of the October and into the final week of the month. Now, retrogression is basically where pressure goes from east to west. Usually the progression of pressure in the northern hemisphere is from west to east, goes that way, but the jet stream blows as the Earth moves around the sun. Everything in the northern hemisphere moves from west to east. In the southern hemisphere, everything moves from east to west. So in our hemisphere, the general flow of traffic in the atmosphere is from west to east, and that's why we tend to be prone, or one of the reasons at least why we tend to be prone to westerly winds and generally unsettled mild conditions off the Atlantic. But if you get a big blocking area of high pressure forming somewhere over Europe, sometimes, and the jet stream is in the right position, sometimes those blocking areas of high pressure can retrogress, and that means that they're moving against the flow going from east to west. And when that happens, very often, certainly in winter, it is one of the signals really for very cold weather. So you can get high pressure forming somewhere over Europe, and then it gets pulled out into the Atlantic or pulled up towards Greenland, and that can open the floodgates to northerly or easterly winds. So this is the chart from the GFS model this morning from for Sunday the 21st of October. We can see we've got this cut-off low out in the Atlantic, a big area of low pressure there, and we've got some quite reasonable pressure ridging across the country. Now this isn't completely settled, there will still be showers going on with this, particularly in the south, but we have got high pressure here, really in control of the weather over much of the continent. Now let's just run through the charts and see what happens with this area of high pressure, because it's quite interesting. As we get through to Monday the 22nd, we've got an area of high pressure beginning to form here over southern parts of Scandinavia. And then as we move through further in towards Tuesday the 23rd, we've still got that high pressure over Scandinavia. We're starting to get high pressure building over Greenland as well, and just look what happens as we get through towards the 24th. Those areas of high pressure have formed a big blocking area of high pressure over Iceland. So the pressure has retrogressed out in towards the Atlantic and gone up towards Iceland, because really we have that other area of high pressure forming over Greenland. And then we form a very big blocking area of high pressure here over Iceland and up to Greenland, and notice the isobars are coming down from the north across Scandinavia, so we're taking very cold air now in towards Scandinavia. Winter really would be setting in over Scandinavia next week if this was right. We'd be opening the floodgates to those Arctic winds, and we're in this easterly flow. This is for Thursday the 25th of October, 216 hours away, so it's quite a long time out. We can't be too precise with this, too certain, but certainly by the time we get through towards Friday the 26th, which is 10 days away, I've got this very intense blocking area of high pressure being predicted at 1,050 millibars over Greenland. And we are pulling down these northerly winds, so we're even bringing cold air, starting to bring colder air in towards northern and eastern parts of the British Isles. But really, a really cold shot of air is going down into Scandinavia and into western Russia as well. We would be laying the snow across Scandinavia and Moscow, parts of western Russia. The winter would really be starting to set in up there with this northerly flow. As I say, we're on the edge of this, but we are starting to bring colder air down from the north and the northeast for the final few days of the month. Now that's a very extreme idea really, I think. I'm not sure if that's going to come off quite to that extent. So let's see what the ECMWF is showing. Again, we go back to Sunday the 21st. We've got this as a reasonable sort of ridge of high pressure here over the continent. The low pressures in the Atlantic becoming cut off, so as we run through the charts we'll see what happens. This is for Tuesday the 23rd, a week's time. We're in a southerly flow here. We've built the high pressure over Scandinavia, so this is actually bringing up some quite warm air from the south, and this is the same sort of idea really as the GFS. At this point it was building the high pressure over Scandinavia. It's just that the interaction between that high pressure and the low pressure in the Atlantic is slightly different, the orientation is slightly different, and we're starting to bring up this more southerly flow. But if we run through in towards the period of Wednesday the 24th, this is taking us towards the final week of October, we can see that we're beginning to reach this high pressure over the British Isles and towards the Atlantic as well. And if we carry on through the charts, this is for Thursday the 25th, 216 hours away, we've got a ridge of high pressure here across British Isles. Yes, we are building weekly a high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland. This isn't a strong build of high pressure as the GFS was showing, but it is still sort of the same idea. And as we go through towards the end of the period, this is for Friday the 26th, 10 days away. Yes, we have got that high pressure ridging through Central Europe in towards out towards Iceland and going up towards Greenland as well, with the cut-off low in the Atlantic. Now this isn't as extreme. Oh, and by the way, notice we are bringing that very cold northerly wind into northern Scandinavia with this trough here. Now this isn't as extreme setup as the GFS was showing, but it's the same sort of idea. It's going in the same direction really. In fact, as we're ridging that high pressure out towards Iceland and Greenland into the Atlantic from East Europe. So it's the same sort of idea, but we retrogress that high pressure out towards the Atlantic. If we have a look at the GM file, the Canadian model again, going back to Sunday the 21st, we've got the low pressure in the Atlantic, the ridge over Europe. Let's see what happens as we run through towards the end of the period. Well, yes, we're still ridging that high pressure to the south of the country. We are getting a bit of a ridge building in the Atlantic and going up towards Greenland as well. Again, nothing like as extensive as the GFS, but it's the same sort of idea. And then that high pressure actually forms over into the west of the British Isles. We don't take it up to Greenland as we do on the GFS model, but again it's the same idea really, that we build that high pressure from Eastern Europe out towards the British Isles and possibly take it out into the Atlantic as well. Now this actually has the high pressure sitting over the top of the British Isles as we go through to the final chart in the period, 10 days out, Friday the 26th. The high pressure is sitting over the country. This would be frosty really, but not as extreme as the GFS was. And notice again though, we're taking that northerly wind down in towards Scandinavia and the western parts of Russia as well. So all models really are showing a cold shock coming down into Scandinavia and western Russia next week, beginning the first snowfalls probably, or widespread snowfalls at least, of the winter. But it's a very interesting idea this that the models are playing with this morning. The GFS is very extreme with this, but all models are sort of going in the same direction, sort of got the same idea, which is to reach a high pressure, retrogress it from Central Europe out towards the Atlantic, possibly setting up a block somewhere over the British Isles or maybe up towards Iceland and Greenland by the time we get through to the end of October, allowing that northerly shock to come down into Scandinavia and western parts of Russia. And we would turn colder as well for the final few days of the month, probably seeing the first real nighttime frosts of the season. So it's an interesting idea. It's just the models are just playing with it at the moment. We have to see how things develop, but I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. Well, I'll be doing the 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back to that, but that's all for now. Thanks for watching.